MLP was back in Austin after a brief PPA break in Atlanta last weekend. Austin featured only 5 premier level teams, but they're pretty much some of the best teams in the league. The Squeeze, the Fives, the Miami Pickleball Club, the Dallas Flash, and it was hosted at the Austin Pickle Ranch by the Texas Ranchers. Austin also kicked off the Challenger season. Despite temperatures in the mid to upper 90s, the Ranchers were able to keep the stands packed the entire weekend, which is awesome. Shout out to the Austin Pickleballers who came out and watched. Another shout out to Julian Arnold and Lauren Stratman on their engagement. Andiamo! As is customary, we started the week off with a couple of rule changes. The most notable being that players are now able to call the ball in and challenge their own call. I've been asking this for a very, very long time, and I'm happy to see this rule finally align with PPA because previously I think we were basically incentivized to cheat. So there was also a minor substitution rule change, but it's just not that serious. On Friday, the Ranchers kicked off the weekend with a 4-0 win over the Orlando Squeeze. The Squeeze were a really big question mark going into this event. They were actually number 1 in the standings by overall points, which is slightly skewed because they had played more matches than anybody else, and their strength of schedule was also way weaker than just about anybody else. But on Saturday, the Squeeze took another regulation loss to the Dallas Flash, and we were able to grind out a regulation win over Miami. To all of the clown logo haters out there, we also have a new clothing deal with Wilson. And the clown, it's much smaller on the jerseys. Willie also had the idea to put a C on my jersey for captain, which I think is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure just about every other sport does this, and I think that other MLP teams should follow suit. I think it's a real badge of honor to whomever gets to wear it. Anyway, on the last match of the evening, the Ranchers almost pulled off the upset over the Flash. The Flash took women's, the Ranchers took men's, and they split mixed doubles, forcing a dream breaker, which went 22-20 in favor of the Flash. On Sunday, we were able to take out the Squeeze in regulation. Willie and I won men's doubles 11-2 over Fed and Dillon with which had to be the absolute strangest match point of all time. It had a bomb of a serve, a third shot overhead, 2 drop shots, an Ernie lob, and a ball into the fence. Take a look at this point.
Ooh, Ernie lob. Fascinating. And it's good. Drop volley. Frazier's there. Howells exploits the middle.
Dallas swept Miami, and the Ranchers gutted out a tight 3-1 win over Miami as well. Eric Unseen's was on one, and Millie Rain let him have it.
Clenched fist. That is a ridiculous put away there.
Second serve.
Oh, my.
You love to see it. Well, I love to see it. But in the last match of the night, we played the Flash in a rematch of last year's final. The women lost, but Willie and I were able to even things up against Augie and J-Dub. Here's match point. And if you see anything weird, let me know.
Forehand side, hip, right hip.
Oh, boy, that serve almost missed here on their third game point. Yeah! And Augie pulled.
The Flash ended up challenging that there was a let on the serve, and I'm just not a huge fan of the idea that you can play the entire rally and challenge a let afterwards. Something as inconsequential as a let. Had we lost the rally, should we have challenged that there was a let on the serve? I honestly don't think that let should be a challengeable event, but what do you think about this, and do you think that serve was a let? Next up was mixed doubles, where Augie and Tyra took down Megan and I, but Willie and Annalie tied it up with an impressive win over Georgia and J-Dub. That actually handed Georgia her very first loss of the MLP season this year. In the Dreambreaker, we had an overrule call early, which meant that we were out of free challenges. We had the call wrong, and the refs got the call correct upon review. A couple of points later, I don't think things were quite as clear. We called this ball out, and it was reviewed and said to be in. Since we had lost our free challenge already, we received a technical warning and a point penalty as a result. But do you think this was in or out? I don't think it really affected the outcome of the match. The Flash ended up taking us down in the Dreambreaker relatively easily, 21-11. And they got to continue their undefeated season. Good for them. We'll be back. I think it's pretty cool that we did get to play on Memorial Day on Monday. The Squeeze got their first win of the event with a 3-1 win over Miami, and we played the last premier match against the Ranchers at home, which was definitely pretty cool for me since I'm living in Austin and I got to see a ton of people I know throughout the weekend. Most of them were understandably cheering for the hometown Texas Ranchers, but I know that at least my wife, Murray, and Arlo were cheering for us. Annalie and Megan won their match, and Willie and I were able to beat a really tough team of Christian and Eric. Megan and I got our only mixed win of the weekend against Tina and Eric, and it couldn't have come at a better time as it clinched the win against the Ranchers. Will and Annalie dropped their only match of the weekend, but we won the match 3-1. But now taking a look at the standings in Challenger, the Night Owls went undefeated. The Chefs had a pretty good 3-2 weekend. DC kind of underperformed expectations, going 2-3, and to absolutely nobody's surprise, Travis Rettenmeyer's squad is in last. But hey, at least they made some funny social media content. Also, if you're worried that your favorite Challenger team is out of the running, don't worry. Anna Bright pointed out that they play each other 5 times, so there are going to be plenty of storylines, plenty of rematches there. In Premier, the Squeeze actually stay in first place despite earning only 3 points in 4 matches. MLP really needs to switch their standings to points per match rather than absolute points. The Squeeze have 28 points, and they've played 15 of their 25 matches, and they're actually in 5th place based on points per match. The Shocks stay in first place with 2.88 points per match, followed by the Flash at 2.75, the Fives at 2.3, and the Ranchers at 2 points per match, which is really how you should be looking at the standings. But anyway, if you miss Pro Pickleball, don't worry. You've only got 72 hours before MLP Phoenix Under the Lights goes down.